Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the Sales Growth Showcase, where we share insights from today's top leaders so that you can make more money and be better connected to those you serve. I am joined today by Asia Corbett. Asia, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you impact others?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I am the head of revenue operations and community operations at RevGenius, which is a community for revenue professionals, all revenue professionals, sales, marketing, CS, customer success, and other RevOps people like myself. And our mission is to empower, educate, and inspire each other. And that aligns with my core values as a person. I just joined this week is a month now. And it was pretty much a no-brainer. It's so hard to find somewhere to work where you align with what the company is doing at a personal level. And Jared, our co-founder and CEO, is one of the most inspiring people I've ever met. I had to jump on the ship and what he's building. Previously, I also headed up RevOps at a tech company, a startup called Postal.io, which is an experience marketing and direct mail and gifting platform. Before that, I was also in operations in a few other companies. So my background is pretty heavily operational. And the way that revenue operations supports sales and sales growth is we are revenue operations professionals are responsible for the processes, so the business processes, the systems and tools like your CRM, and reporting and analytics, and enablement, which is training that enables the sales team and all revenue teams to bring in more money.
That's fantastic. Well, that's exactly what we want to do. So we want to have great systems and processes in place so that we can make more money.
Yeah.
And so let's building on that, from a operations standpoint, you'll bring a unique perspective to the show. What are some of the key things that you're thinking about to being able to empower teams to grow their sales?
Yeah. So a couple of things that are always top of mind for me are what are people doing day to day? So starting at the sales rep level, your SDRs and AEs, what systems are they living in? If you're in B2B SaaS, you're probably using a tool like Outreach or SalesLoft on the SDR side to do your calls and your emails and those outbound and inbound activity. And then your AEs, your account executives, are probably living in the CRM, creating opportunities and pushing the deals through the pipeline. And so when it comes to operations and the systems and processes, thinking about what can we do to make that the most easy, straightforward, simple thing for the reps so that they are not spending hours updating fields, for example. They can be on the phone selling, or how can you enable them with some training and some documentation that's like, I can't get a hold of Asia. I have a question on this report. I don't remember, but there's this nice little one-pager that tells me exactly what this report means. How do I use it? Where can I find it if I forget? And having all of that ready for them so that they also can go quickly sell, quickly make their note updates, quickly find out where their pipeline may be leaking money.
So that's great. So clearly having the right tools and as you said, the process is to use those tools efficiently so that they can identify challenges and at the end of the day, focus on their customers, which is really what's super important, of course. And how about nowadays with so much change going on in the sales and marketing and and operations side of things with everything that's been going on in the marketplace, what are you seeing as key challenges that are causing struggles for sales teams today?
Yeah, so I think we've all seen this past almost a year and a half now, the struggle with having to onboard and train and provide resources to entirely remote teams, sales teams. And if you, especially like if you think about SDRs, those people are fresh out of college, learning how to have a job for the first time, and also learning how to have a sales job. So as rev ops, sales ops, as an operations leaders and practitioners, really doubling down on training and enablement has been important. And that could be using certain tools, or it could be just literally getting on Zoom and making time. That's another challenge, is we're all kind of over being on Zoom, and there's Zoom fatigue. And how do you continue to keep your team engaged and make sure they have what they need to be successful in a like completely remote environment, like never having met your coworkers before. So that's definitely a big one.
That's great. And so now let's look at that from the other perspective of the key area of opportunity. So you said one of the challenges, especially with so much in virtual today, is being able to train people and be able to provide the right coaching. And when we may have never, ever been in the same room together before, but what's the opportunity associated with a lot of these new changes to virtual environments?
Yeah, I think that we have an opportunity to create some better processes here, and also make a really strong case for why the enablement side of things is so important, and not just like marketing collateral for your product, like here's a product sheet, but actual, how do we give people the tools that they need to be successful in their jobs, and maintain and build those relationships, not only externally, but internally, like amongst your team.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing that, helping us understand from a different perspective, from the operations side of sales. I loved having that new way of looking through it around the processes and making sure the right systems and tools are in place. Oh, now let's say, given congratulations, by the way, on your recent move to Rev Genius. Let's say you're at a networking function, you meet someone that says that they too just moved into a leadership role with a new organization. They want to be as successful as you are, and they ask you for one nugget of advice. Where would you start? What would you pass along?
I would say find a community and join a community and of people that you trust and admire, because there's so much help and wisdom and connection that comes out of those communities. I was a part of the Rev Genius community before I went to go full time there, and there are all kinds of revenue professionals, individual contributors all the way up to C-level. And most people are really willing to help you if you have a question, or like, I'm struggling with this business problem right now. Does anyone have any ideas? And you learn a lot that way. And so that was one thing that helped me tremendously, is having access to people, especially in the virtual world like we are in right now, is finding your community.
That's so important. I could not agree more that having such a strong, supportive community around you is so important to your success. So, no doubt that there are, speaking of community, there are people in your life that have helped impact you. You mentioned Jared at the beginning. Tell us a little bit more either about Jared or others in your life that have provided impact that maybe would be willing to come on the show and share their insights with this community as well.
Yeah. So Jared is one of those people. He founded Rev Genius last year, actually started the company and community in like a LinkedIn group. and eventually moved to Slack because so many people wanted to be a part of this community that literally the group message in LinkedIn was breaking. Like people couldn't talk to each other. And so I think he told me there was 100 people in it last year. You could go to him for the correct number. And now we're at over 15,000 people in the community, which is amazing. And that's just a testament to how inspiring of a person Jared is, that he built this community from the ground up and brought all these people together. That's crazy to me, but in a good way. So Jared, a couple of other people.
Before you mention anybody else, I don't think we've yet said Jared's last name, so I want to make sure that we you
Jared
share.
Robin, R-O-B-I-N.
Yeah, I want to make sure that that listeners and viewers can know who the mysterious Jared is. So Jared Robinson.
So Jared is wonderful. There are a couple of other leaders in the revenue operations space that are inspiring to me, I learn from and follow. One of them is Jordan Henderson. He is the director of revenue operations at a tech company called Ring DNA. He also has a lot of experience in sales. He was a VP of sales at one point, and he was also a lawyer. He went to law school and then made his way into revenue operations. So he would be a really great person to bring on here and then also to follow. And then, honestly, one of the other most inspiring people was one of my former bosses. Her name is Julia Gachet. She was the director of business operations when I worked with her. And now I believe she went into product management, maybe. I think she's at Twilio Segment, another tech company. But a lot of my like process-oriented, process-driven nature and like how I've become such a big advocate for it is because of her. And she also helped me, being an operations professional, navigate uncertainty, navigate ambiguity, be okay with it, embrace it, lean into it. And I wouldn't be where I am today without her, truly. She's really kind, really smart, knows her stuff. She probably would have a couple of things to say about sales. I know she took a different direction going into like product management, but as a director of business operations, she supported the sales team as well. So
that's great. Well, I will certainly look forward to connecting with her, and I appreciate you mentioning all three names, and I will definitely connect with them all. Oh, Asia, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. We really appreciate you sharing your insights. Congrats again at the new role at Rev Genius, and thanks for spending some time with us.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks for having me.
And listeners and watchers, thank you for being here. And until we have a chance to meet again, I hope you all reach invincible success.